The stars shimmered quietly in the viewing window of the Terran Defense Station Alpha as Admiral James Walker stood watching the combined fleet exercises. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he observed the graceful dance of Earth and Valoran ships moving in perfect formation. The exercises marked 50 years of alliance between the two species, but Walker's mind drifted back to the day everything changed. The day the Valorans first arrived. He had been a young lieutenant then, stationed at Luna Base when the massive Valoran ship appeared just beyond Mars' orbit. Unlike the violent first contact scenarios from old movies, the Valorans came in peace, seeking allies in what they called a harsh and unforgiving galaxy. They were tall, elegant beings with silver-tinted skin that seemed to glow from within, and eyes that held wisdom accumulated over thousands of years of space travel. The Valorans chose Earth for a simple reason. They had watched humans for decades and saw something special in them, while other species in the galaxy focused on perfecting single paths of technology. Humans developed in all directions at once. Where others sought absolute control, humans embraced chaos and turned it into innovation. The Valorans recognized this as a strength, not a weakness. "Admiral, the Valoran High Commander requests your presence in the conference room," said Lieutenant Reed, pulling Walker from his memories. He nodded and straightened his uniform, heading toward the station's central section. Inside the conference room, High Commander Trell of the Valorans waited. His silver skin caught the light as he turned, showing the subtle patterns that marked his rank. "My old friend," Trell said warmly, "today's exercises show how far we've come together." Walker smiled at his longtime ally. The partnership between Earth and the Valorans had transformed both societies. Valoran crystal computing combined with human AI research created systems more powerful than either species could have developed alone. Human creativity, paired with Valoran precision engineering, produced ships that could outmaneuver anything in known space. The Council's observers left early, Walker noted, his voice carrying a hint of concern. The Galactic Council had never approved of the Earth-Valoran alliance, viewing it as a threat to their power. They especially disliked how quickly humans had advanced with Valoran help. Trell's expression darkened. "They claim our joint fleet violates treaty limitations, but we both know the real reason. They fear what we've accomplished together." He moved to the tactical display, bringing up a map of known space. "Our scouts report increased Council fleet movements near our outer colonies. They're testing our response times." Walker studied the map carefully. Red dots showing Council fleet positions had been creeping closer to both Earth and Valoran space over the past months. "They won't risk open conflict," he said, but uncertainty crept into his voice. "The other species wouldn't support it." "The Council has ruled for 10,000 years," Trell replied quietly. "They believe they can do whatever they wish." He touched a control, highlighting the Valoran colony of New Dawn. "We've increased defenses here, but I fear it won't be enough." Before Walker could respond, an aide rushed into the room. "Admiral, High Commander, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from multiple Council vessels. They've changed course toward the Valoran sector." Walker and Trell shared a knowing look. Both had served long enough to recognize the signs of an impending attack. "Alert all ships," Walker commanded. "Bring the fleet to ready status." He turned to Trell. "Whatever they're planning, we face it together." The High Commander nodded gravely. "As we have for 50 years, my friend. Though I pray we're wrong about their intentions." As alarms began sounding throughout the station, Walker returned to the window. The combined fleet was already moving into defensive formations, human and Valoran ships sliding into place with practiced precision. He watched a group of Earth's newest destroyers take up escort positions around a massive Valoran cruiser, their hulls gleaming in the starlight. Humanity had come so far since the Valorans arrived, growing from a single-planet species to a major force in the galaxy. Walker silently promised himself that the Council would learn exactly what that meant if they chose the path of war. The alarms on New Dawn Colony started blaring just before dawn. Captain Mark Stone of the Valoran Defense Force stood at his command post, watching in horror as hundreds of Council warships dropped out of hyperspace. Their black hulls blocked out the stars, forming a wall of death around the peaceful colony. Status report. Stone barked, his silver skin pulsing with stress patterns. The colony's defense fleet consisted of only 12 ships. They had never expected the Council to launch a direct attack. Council ships are powering weapons, his sensor officer reported. They're not responding to hails. Multiple targeting locks detected. Stone knew they were about to die, but he had a duty to his people and their human allies. Send emergency broadcast to Earth Command. Encrypt using Protocol 7. He paused, watching the Council ships move into attack formation and begin civilian evacuation procedures. The first shots from the Council fleet lit up space like new stars. Their weapons were far more powerful than anything Stone had seen before. They had been holding back, hiding their true capabilities. The colony's shields buckled under the assault, and Stone watched helplessly as the first residential dome cracked open, spilling atmosphere into space. Broadcast sent, the communications officer announced. But they're jamming all frequencies now. Stone nodded grimly. Launch all fighters. Defensive formation Delta. Buy the evacuation ships as much time as you can. He knew it was a suicide mission, but every minute they held out meant more civilians might escape. The Valoran fighters emerged from their base, small and agile against the massive Council warships. They weaved through the enemy formation, their crystal-powered weapons leaving bright trails in the darkness. But for every Council ship they damaged, 5 more took its place. On the colony's surface, chaos reigned. Families rushed toward evacuation shelters as buildings collapsed around them. Council dropships were landing now, disgorging troops in black armor. They moved with mechanical precision, gunning down anyone in their path. Captain. The sensor officer's voice cracked with emotion. They're targeting the civilian shelters. Stone slammed his fist on the command console. Record everything, he ordered. Full sensor data, visual feeds, everything. Earth needs to know what happened here. He opened a channel to all remaining defense forces. This is Captain Stone. Hold the line. For our people, for Earth, hold the line. The Valoran ships fought with desperate courage. A Council cruiser exploded as 3 fighters rammed it simultaneously. Stone's own ship, the Last Light, took out 2 enemy destroyers before multiple hits breached its hull. Emergency force fields snapped into place as atmosphere vented into space. Hull integrity at 20%. The damage control officer reported. We can't take another hit like that. Stone looked at the tactical display. Only 3 civilian ships had managed to escape into hyperspace. The rest were either destroyed or trapped in the Council's blockade. The colony's main dome was completely shattered now, its pieces drifting in orbit along with thousands of bodies. Sir, new Council ships approaching, larger class than the others. Through the broken view screen, Stone watched the new arrivals power up their main weapons. The energy readings were off the scale. Planet-killer class weapons, forbidden by every treaty in the galaxy. The Council wasn't just attacking them. They were going to destroy all evidence of their crimes. Send one final transmission to Earth, Stone ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Tell them. He paused, watching the Council weapon platforms align with his dying world. Tell them to make the Council pay for what they've done here. The Last Light's computers recorded everything as the Council weapons fired. The massive energy beams struck New Dawn's surface, boring through the crust and into the mantle. Stone stood at his post until the end, transmitting data until the planet itself began to break apart. The Council ships departed as methodically as they had arrived, leaving nothing but debris and silence, where a thriving colony had once been. But they had made one mistake. 3 civilian ships had escaped, carrying witnesses to their atrocity. And in a few hours, when the news reached Earth, humanity would show the galaxy exactly why the Council should have feared them all along. Admiral Walker stood in Earth's main military command center, his hands clenched behind his back as he watched the final moments of New Dawn colony play out on the massive screen. The room was dead silent except for the recorded distress calls. Every person present watched as the Council ships methodically destroyed an entire world. The recording ended, and the lights came up. Around the large table sat Earth's highest military commanders and civilian leaders. Many had tears in their eyes. Some looked sick. Others showed pure rage. 3 evacuation ships made it out, Walker said into the silence. They carried 217 survivors, out of a colony of 1 million. He touched a control, bringing up tactical data recovered from Captain Stone's final transmission. The Council used banned weapons, planet killers. They didn't just attack the colony. They erased it. The Secretary of Defense stood up, her face pale but determined. The Council will claim this was a police action. They'll say the colony was harboring criminals or developing illegal weapons. She looked around the room. They've already started spreading these lies through their diplomatic channels. They're counting on other species being too afraid to challenge them, Walker replied. He brought up a new display showing Earth's fleet positions. But they made a mistake. They thought destroying all evidence would protect them. They didn't count on human ingenuity. He played another recording, this one from a tiny stealth probe that Earth had hidden near New Dawn. The probe had captured everything in perfect detail. The unprovoked attack, the targeting of civilian shelters, the final destruction of the planet. The Council's guilt was undeniable. Our Valoran allies trusted us, Walker continued. They helped us grow from a single planet species into a space-faring civilization. Now we show the galaxy that humanity honors its friendships. He pressed another button, and a complex battle plan appeared on the main screen. This is Operation Righteous Thunder. The plan showed Earth's fleet movements, carefully plotted to catch the Council forces off guard. Human ships would use secret jump points mapped by deep space explorers, routes unknown to the Council. The attack would come from multiple directions at once, using technology that merged human and Valoran designs in ways the Council had never seen. We've been preparing for something like this, said the fleet commander. Every ship in the fleet has been upgraded with hybrid weapon systems. Our eyes are generations ahead of Council targeting computers. And we have something they don't, a reason to fight beyond mere power. Around the table, heads nodded. The Council had ruled through fear for thousands of years. They saw other species as tools or threats, never as equals. But they had never faced humanity at war. The Council believes they can act without consequences, Walker said. They think their power makes them untouchable. He zoomed in on the Council's main fleet bases. We're going to prove them wrong. The Secretary of Defense stood again. A vote then. Do we authorize full military response? One by one, the leaders voted. There was no debate, no hesitation. The vote was unanimous. Very well, Walker said. He sent orders to the waiting fleet with a single command. Throughout the solar system, ships began powering up their engines. Crews moved to battle stations. Weapons came online. The Council wanted to send a message with this massacre. Now we send one of our own. He looked around the room at the grim faces of Earth's leaders. Humanity remembers its friends. We protect our allies, and we punish those who harm them. The displays showed Earth's ships moving into position, ready to jump. The Council thought they could break us by destroying New Dawn. Instead, they'll learn why Earth's history remembers those who wake the sleeping giant. In space, the first ships began jumping to their attack positions. The Council had started this war with an act of overwhelming force. Now they would learn that humanity could respond in kind. But unlike the Council's brutality, Earth's response would be guided by justice, not fear. They would avenge their allies, but they would do it the human way, with precision, with purpose, and with the unshakable determination that had carried humanity from stone tools to the stars. The Council's largest military base orbited a dead star at the edge of their territory. Their commanders believed it was completely safe. No enemy could reach it without being detected by their sensor networks. No fleet could survive the defenses they had built over thousands of years. They were wrong. The first sign of attack came when 50 Earth warships appeared inside their defense grid. The ships emerged from jump points that shouldn't have existed, using paths through space that Council scientists had declared impossible. Before the base commanders could react, another 40 ships appeared behind their main battle line. Admiral Walker watched from the bridge of his flagship, the Terran ship Justice. "All ships, weapons free," he ordered. "Execute attack pattern Delta. Show them what humanity can do." The Earth fleet opened fire with their new hybrid weapons, beams of focused dark matter, a technology developed by combining human theoretical physics with Valoran engineering, cut through Council shields like they weren't there. Council ships that had ruled space for centuries began exploding as Earth fighters swarmed between them. "Enemy fleet is in chaos," reported Lieutenant Reed from her tactical station. "Their formation is breaking. They didn't expect us to get this close." On the main view screen, Walker watched Earth's newest weapon in action. The destroyers Thunder and Lightning launched their dark matter torpedoes. The weapons phased through the Council's defensive screens and detonated inside their largest warships. Massive explosions lit up space as Council vessels were torn apart from the inside. "Council ships are trying to escape through their jump points," Reed announced. A smile crossed her face. "But our eyes are predicting their moves. Squadrons 3 and 4 are already waiting for them." The Council commanders had never faced an enemy like this. Their tactical computers, designed to fight traditional battles, couldn't keep up with the human attack patterns. Earth ships seemed to move randomly, but each chaotic maneuver was part of a larger plan that the Council's ancient systems couldn't understand. "Sir," Reed's voice was urgent, large energy spike from the Council base. "They're powering up the same type of weapons they used on New Dawn." Walker's jaw tightened. "Not this time," he said. "Launch Operation Dark Mirror." From the cargo bays of Earth's largest ships, thousands of small objects emerged. They looked like debris, barely large enough to show up on sensors. But as the Council's planet-killer weapons powered up, these tiny devices activated. Each one contained a quantum field generator, technology reverse-engineered from studying Council weapons. "Quantum field network is online," Reed reported. "Ready on your command." Walker thought of the destroyed Valoran colony, of Captain Stone's final message. "Execute." The quantum field generators created a complex web of energy around the Council base. When the Council weapons fired, their beams hit the field and reflected back. The massive station's own weapons turned against it, burning through its shields and armor. "Council-based defenses are down," Reed said. "Their main fleet is retreating. 80% of their ships are destroyed or disabled." Walker nodded grimly. "Send in the boarding teams. I want their computers, their records, everything. The galaxy needs to see what they really are." Earth Marines in powered armor cut their way into the damaged Council station. Inside, they found more than battle plans. The Council's secret files revealed decades of conspiracy, plans to enslave both humans and Valorans, to maintain their power through genocide if necessary. "Transmit everything we found on all frequencies," Walker ordered. "Let every species in the galaxy see what their great council really is." As the data spread across the galactic networks, Walker looked at the ruins of the Council's greatest military base. Humanity had done in hours what no other species had managed in thousands of years. They had shown the Council that their time of unchallenged rule was over. But this was just the beginning. The Council still controlled vast territories. They had other bases, other fleets. They wouldn't accept this defeat easily. But humanity was ready. The Council had started this war by killing Earth's friends. Now they would learn why every human child learned the saying, "Beware the fury of a patient man." The Council's Supreme Commander Gray stood on his command ship, watching tactical displays as his massive fleet gathered. 2,000 warships, the largest force assembled in 500 years, prepared for a final attack on the human fleet. After their military base fell, the Council had called in every ship they could find. "The humans have gone too far," Gray said to his officers. "We will crush them here, then destroy their homeworld as we destroyed their allies. His scaled face showed no emotion as he gave the order. All ships, advance. Aboard the Earth flagship Justice, Admiral Walker watched the Council fleet approach. His own ships were outnumbered 4-1, but he smiled. "Right on schedule," he said quietly. "Begin Operation Ghost Dance." The human fleet started moving in strange patterns. Council targeting computers tried to lock onto them, but kept losing track. Unknown to the Council, each Earth ship was projecting multiple quantum shadows of itself, a technology that made their true positions impossible to predict. "Council fleet is firing," Lieutenant Reed reported calmly. Their shots passed through empty space where Earth ships appeared to be but weren't. Walker keyed his command channel. "Execute Phase 2. Hidden behind a nearby moon, 500 Valoran ships suddenly powered up. They had survived the massacre at New Dawn, hidden away by human stealth technology. Now they emerged from hiding, their crystal ships glowing with stored energy. "Valoran fleet is in position," Reed said. "Council ships are adjusting to meet them. They're dividing their forces," Walker noted, "just as we planned." He opened a channel to all ships. "This is Admiral Walker. The Council thought they could rule through fear forever. Today we show them why that was a mistake. All ships, engage." The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. Council ships found themselves caught between two forces using technology they couldn't understand. Earth's dark matter weapons cut through their strongest shields. Valoran crystal beams overloaded their power systems. But the Council fleet was still dangerous. Their ships began firing their planet-killer weapons, trying to destroy everything in their path. Space itself seemed to warp around the massive energy beams. "Now we see if the trap works," Walker said. "Activate the quantum net." Throughout the battlefield, small devices activated. They created a web of quantum fields, just like at the Council base. But this time, the field was far larger. When the Council's weapons fired, their energy was caught in the quantum net, feeding back into their own ships. "Council fleet is in chaos," Reed reported. "Their weapons are destroying their own vessels. Their formation is breaking apart." On his command ship, Supreme Commander Gray watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. Earth ships seemed to be everywhere and nowhere, impossible to hit. Valoran vessels struck from angles his tactical computers said weren't possible. And now his own weapons were being turned against him. "This cannot be happening," Gray snarled. "We are the Council. We have ruled for 10,000 years. He slammed his fist on his command console. "All ships, concentrate fire on their flagship. Kill Walker." But Walker had predicted this too. As the Council ships turned toward the Justice, they exposed their flanks to the Valoran fleet. Crystal beams sliced through their engines, leaving them dead in space. "Council fleet is reduced to 30% strength," Reed announced. "They're starting to surrender." Walker watched as Gray's command ship tried to escape. A single dark matter torpedo caught it in the engines. The massive vessel spun out of control, its power systems failing. "Send boarding teams to capture Gray," Walker ordered. "He faces trial for what he did to New Dawn." As Earth Marines cut their way into the Council command ship, Walker looked at the battlefield. The Council's greatest fleet was in ruins. Their supreme commander was about to be captured. And across the galaxy, other species were rising up, inspired by Earth's victory. The Council's age of terror was ending. Something new would take its place. An alliance of equals, led by the combined strength of humanity and their Valoran friends. The galaxy would never be the same. Marines from the Earth ship Justice led Supreme Commander Gray through the corridors in chains. His scaled face showed no emotion as they brought him to the ship's main conference room. Admiral Walker waited inside, along with surviving Valoran leaders and representatives from other alien species. "The Council's files are being decoded now," Lieutenant Reed reported. She touched a control, and holographic displays filled the room with information. "What we're finding is worse than we imagined." Walker stepped closer to the displays, reading through thousands of years of secret plans and hidden orders. You didn't just want to rule, he said to Gray. You wanted to remake the galaxy in your image. Gray lifted his chin proudly. We are superior. We have guided lesser species for 10,000 years. Without us, there would be chaos. Show them, Walker ordered. Reed brought up more files. The room fell silent as images and documents revealed the Council's true plans. They had been secretly manipulating DNA across the galaxy, trying to make other species more like themselves. Colonies that resisted disappeared in accidents. Entire civilizations were marked for eventual elimination. The Valorans were first on your list, Walker said, because they chose to help us instead of bowing to you. But humanity was next. He brought up more files showing Council plans to attack Earth. You were going to wait until we trusted you, then destroy us like you destroyed New Dawn. Gray's scales rippled with anger. You advanced too quickly. The Valorans should never have helped you. When lesser species rise too fast, they'd bring destruction. A Valoran elder stepped forward, his silver skin dark with anger patterns. We chose to help humanity because we saw their potential, not to become like you, but to become something new, something better. More representatives from other species moved closer to the displays. They saw how the Council had been manipulating their civilizations, holding them back while pretending to help them. Some had suspected the truth, but now they had proof. Send this to every world, Walker ordered. Every colony, every outpost, every ship. The Council's lies end today. As the data streamed out across galactic networks, responses began pouring in. Species that had feared the Council for centuries were rising up. Council loyalists found themselves surrounded by angry populations demanding answers. Your reign is over, Walker told Gray. The galaxy doesn't need your guidance anymore. We can find our own way forward. Gray laughed bitterly. You think defeating one fleet ends this? The Council's power is built into the foundation of galactic civilization. You cannot simply remove us. Watch us, Walker replied. He brought up new displays showing Council bases and outposts across the galaxy. One by one, they were going dark as local forces overwhelmed them. Your power was based on fear and secrets. We just took both away. The other species' representatives moved to surround Gray. Each had centuries of grievances to address. Each had seen their people held back, controlled, shaped to fit the Council's plans. Now they wanted justice. You will face trial, Walker told Gray. Not just for New Dawn, but for every world you've destroyed. Every species you've manipulated. Every life you've ruined in your quest for control. As Gray was led away, Walker looked at the gathered representatives. Humans stood with Valorans and a dozen other species, all united by the Council's betrayal. But there was hope in their anger. The Council's fall meant a chance to build something new. We're receiving messages from across the galaxy, Reed reported. More species want to join the Alliance. They're asking for Earth and the Valorans to lead them. Walker nodded. The Council's age of control through fear was ending. A new age was beginning, one built on cooperation and mutual respect. Humanity's first steps into the galaxy had started a revolution. Now they would help guide it, not through force like the Council, but through friendship and shared strength. 1 month after the Council's fall, ships from 100 different species gathered near the remains of New Dawn Colony. They came to witness the end of one era and the beginning of another. Earth vessels flew in formation with Valoran crystal ships, their combined fleets now protecting the peace they had won together. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of the Justice, watching the gathered ships. Begin the ceremony, he ordered quietly. At his command, Earth ships released thousands of small lights into space. Each light represented a life lost at New Dawn. They floated among the debris of the destroyed world, turning the graveyard into a field of stars. The Council's leaders have been found guilty, Lieutenant Reed reported from her station. Supreme Commander Gray and his officers will spend the rest of their lives in prison. Their victims finally have justice. Walker nodded. The trials had revealed even more of the Council's crimes. Centuries of oppression, hidden massacres, and genetic manipulation had come to light. But today wasn't about punishment. It was about remembrance and new beginnings. "Representatives are ready in the conference room," Reed said. Walker straightened his uniform and headed down to meet them. The ship's largest room was filled with leaders from across the galaxy. Valoran stood with their silver skin glowing softly. Reptilian species that had once feared the Council now talked freely with furry creatures from distant worlds. Humans moved among them all, no longer the galaxy's newcomers but its defenders. "The papers are ready," said the Valoran High Elder. On the main table sat the document they had all come to sign, the Charter of the New Galactic Alliance. Walker looked at the gathered leaders. The Council ruled through fear and control. They saw our differences as weaknesses to be eliminated, but our differences are our strength. Today we build something new, an alliance of equals, where each species is free to grow in its own way. One by one, the representatives came forward to sign. Each species would have an equal voice in the new alliance. Earth and the Valorans would lead the defense fleet, protecting members from any new threats that might arise. But no one would rule over the others. As the signing continued, Walker walked to the view screen. The field of memorial lights still floated in space, honoring those lost at New Dawn. Among them, he saw new lights appearing, ships arriving from across the galaxy to join the alliance. "Admiral," Reed called from nearby. "The construction ships are ready." Walker gave the order. Massive vessels moved into position around the debris field. They weren't there to clean up the remains. Instead, they began building something new, a space station that would serve as the Alliance's headquarters. "The New Dawn Memorial Station," Walker said, "built from the remains of the colony, just as we're building a new galaxy from the ruins of the Council's empire." The construction ships worked through the ceremony, their builders including members of every species. Humans provided the AI systems, Valorans added their crystal technology, and others contributed their own unique skills. The station would be a symbol of what they could achieve together. As the final representatives signed the charter, cheers echoed through every ship in the gathered fleet. Walker felt a moment of pride, but also remembered the cost. They had lost friends and allies to reach this point. Their victory had been paid for with the lives of those who died at New Dawn. "Message from Earth Command," Reed announced. "They're receiving requests from unexplored regions of space. New species want to join the Alliance. They say our victory gave them courage to resist the Council's remaining forces." Walker smiled. Humanity's first steps into space had started a revolution, but not through conquest or control. They had won by defending their friends, by fighting for justice, and by showing the galaxy a better way forward. The memorial lights continued to shine around the growing station. They would always remember what was lost. But now they could also look forward to what they would build together. The age of fear was over. The age of cooperation had begun.